All right, hey guys. So what I'm trying to do is just kind of record an audio log, visual log, however you want to say it, of kind of the training I've taken in the class. I've taken to one help me maybe understand what I've learned versus just going through the steps, and then maybe somebody else can see something and it's something they like and they try out the course. So what this is based around is in the end that picture that you just saw was created this way. So what it's showing me is how to use this visual scripting, these boxes, these lines on how to go in and create that. So I'm not trying to teach the course, so this is just me trying to verbalize and so I can look back and try to remember what I did. Some interesting things that I think came out of it though is it looks like so it's teaching me different kinds of math, like behind the scenes kind of thing. You know, flipping numbers. It's different kind of numbers. You got floats, and we talked about integers. So different types of numbers. I think that's probably going to be the relation with C++ and how that rolls into it. Um, Now it did talk about the different I'm going to call them functions. It's probably not the right words, but the different actions that you take in there and linking them, and uh, it did a good job, or at least it attempted to do a good job of how that related to C++. This is the next day. I don't remember all that stuff, but what I believe I've learned is this is linking objects inside of your project with, and then tying it into actions, and then and getting it to execute. You know what I mean? I think is how that goes. So what this is kind of taught me is there's different ways, and there was another one before this, how to capture mouse input. So whenever we can go back to the maze, I'll show you what I'm talking about. But it's the X and Y axis, how to move uh, the mouse right and left, or how to move the maze right and left, and how to move it forward and back. And then it kind of talked about different ways of going in there, and then this is how to make it to where it didn't spin too far right, too far left. And yeah, so let's go back and kind of look at that. Maybe we can play some of this, because this float, this is a floating number. I'm assuming it's called a float because it can change. When you look at a float number, it could go to anything, but don't know. So let's go back to the other view. So all that you just saw, it didn't create the walls, right? You don't use that to create the walls. You actually have to create the walls and the floors and this little ball itself with pre-made content, or you go in and put a box and you shape it the way you want. Now what that did do, if I click play here, what you'll see So as you can see, it, I'm moving the mouse right and left, and I'm moving the mouse forward and back, and so that's how you try to get the ball to go around the maze. We're not done with this yet. There's still some more to learn, but I just wanted to kind of capture what I think I've learned so far. So going back in that, I learned how to do the floor, right? And then how to stretch that block and make that, change the shape of that block to turn it into a floor. But then I also created the walls, and it's like, I think what it was trying to tell me, like there's different types of floors and walls, because we did collision detection, right? So when we went in, we created the wall, and the ball stayed on the floor, right? I should say we created the floor, and the ball stayed on the floor. But when we went to create the walls, we used something called geometry. So I think we got in here, let's see. Yeah, so this, we used a box. Well, for some reason, the box that you pull out of here and the box that you use to create the floor are different, and that it has something to do with like a static mesh actor or something like that. Like I said, I took it last night, so trying to remember all that is kind of weird. But the difference is when I created it, when I created the walls, initially the ball could go through the wall. That's what I'm assuming is that was the difference. There was no like collision detection, because later on in the course we actually had to create collision detection for all these different surfaces so the ball would go around. It seemed to me like the floor had quote collision detection to start with, because the ball kind of stayed on it. We changed some attributes on the ball to make it work. We changed some attributes on the floor to where when you spun the floor initially, you didn't shoot the ball off into oblivion, right? So something called teleporting to physics or something like that. So I think to wrap this video up, I think so. Some of the concepts that I think I got out of this was there's two types of different services that you use. Some of them, like I had to create this into an entire static mesh for it to be usable, I guess. So there's two different types of surfaces. Some of them are like interactable, I guess, with objects, and some of them there's more you have to do to make it to where you can actually use it as a wall, or the program doesn't see it as a wall. And then I also learned, like, this is like the systems behind it, right? How to grab numbers and math and different inputs from different things, because we did keyboards as well. We were able to move it with W, A and D and S key initially, and so it kind of walked you through how to create this. No way I'm going to remember this the day after, right? So it's one of the reasons I'm creating this video, is to remind me later on. And it also kind of taught me how to limit the spin and limit kind of different things, how to add data into it, and then in the end it takes all this and turns it into the rotation of the maze. So that's what I've got so far. I'm going to go ahead and stop here. I'm going to take some more courses today, and then I'm going to try to create a little reminder or video logs like this for each one as I go through it. All right, out here.